There's a moment in almost every saver's life that feels responsible and is quietly destructive. You're doing everything right. You spend less than you earn. You avoid debt. You stack cash. Your balance grows every year. And yet, somehow, you're not getting ahead. Not really. Prices keep rising. Opportunities feel further away. And no matter how much you save, wealth always seems to belong to someone else. Here's the uncomfortable truth most people never hear. There is a point where saving money stops being smart and starts becoming the reason you fall behind. This is the story of that tipping point. Why it exists, why almost no one talks about it, and why crossing it changes how power, freedom, and money actually work.
Most people are taught a simple formula for financial success. Work hard, save consistently, avoid risk, repeat for decades. It sounds boring, safe, responsible. Parents teach it. Schools reinforce it. Banks love it. And for a while, it works. If you earn your first paycheck and immediately save a portion of it, you're already ahead of most people. Saving builds discipline. It protects you from emergencies. It creates breathing room. At the beginning, saving is not optional. It's survival. But something strange happens when you zoom out. When you look at who actually becomes wealthy, not comfortable, not stable, but wealthy, their story almost never centers around saving. That's not because they were reckless. It's because they crossed a line most people never even realize exists. A line where the rules quietly change.
To understand that line, we need to talk about time. Not motivation, not mindset, math. Imagine two people. Person A saves aggressively. They save 30% of their income. They avoid unnecessary spending. They feel proud every time their account balance grows. Person B saves too, but not obsessively. Instead, they focus on owning assets, things that can grow, scale, or produce income. At first, person A looks smarter, safer, more disciplined. But over time, something flips, and it flips quietly.
Let's talk about inflation, but not in textbook terms. Inflation isn't just prices going up, it's money losing its power. The same cash that bought a month of groceries 10 years ago now buys half a cart. The same savings that once felt impressive now feel thin. Here's the part that hurts. Inflation doesn't care how hard you worked. It doesn't care how disciplined you were. It quietly taxes idle money every single year. If inflation averages even 6 to 7%, which is not unusual in many countries, your savings lose almost half their real value in about a decade. And that's the best-case scenario. So when someone says, "I don't want to take risks, I'll just save," what they're really saying is, "I'm choosing a risk I don't see."
This is where the tipping point begins. Early on, saving protects you from chaos. Later on, saving exposes you to a slower, quieter danger. Because once your basic safety is covered, once emergencies won't destroy you, the job of money changes. It's no longer there just to sit. It's there to move, to work, to multiply. And this is where most people freeze.
There's a psychological trap here. Saving feels productive. You can see it. You can measure it. It feels responsible. Investing feels uncertain, messy, uncomfortable. So people keep doing the thing that feels safe long after it stops being effective. They confuse discipline with progress. But money doesn't reward effort. It rewards positioning. Think about this. If saving alone created wealth,
the wealthiest people in the world would be the best savers. They're not. They're owners. Owners of businesses, owners of land, owners of systems, owners of things that grow when time passes. Saving is static. Ownership is dynamic. And the moment your financial life becomes static, you start falling behind a dynamic world.
Here's where the math becomes uncomfortable. Let's say you save aggressively for 20 years. You deposit money every month. You feel proud of your consistency. But your income has a ceiling. Your savings has a ceiling. And inflation never stops. Meanwhile, assets compound. Not linearly, exponentially. This is why wealth looks slow, then sudden. It's not luck, it's math finally overpowering effort.
This is also why people who only save often feel betrayed later in life. They did everything they were told to do. They followed the rules. And then they look up and realize the rules changed, without anyone announcing it. They saved in a system designed to reward ownership.
At this point, some people react emotionally. They say investing is gambling. They say it's only for the rich. They say it's too late. But that reaction misses the real issue. The issue isn't whether you should invest. It's when saving alone stops making sense. And that moment is much earlier than most people think. The tipping point usually arrives quietly. It's when your emergency fund is complete. Your high-interest debt is under control. Your monthly expenses are predictable. At that moment, every additional unit of saved cash becomes less useful than the previous one. Not useless, just less powerful. This is diminishing returns applied to safety. More savings doesn't give you proportionately more security, but investing can give you disproportionately more growth. That's the shift.
There's another layer people don't like to talk about. Saving trains obedience. Investing trains judgment. Saving rewards following instructions. Investing forces you to think, decide, and take responsibility. And systems don't love people who think independently. That's why saving is promoted loudly, while investing is often framed as dangerous, complex, or irresponsible. Not because it is, but because it transfers power.
Notice something subtle. Banks pay you interest for saving, but they charge far more interest when they lend that same money out. Your savings become fuel for someone else's leverage. You accept low returns for safety. They accept risk for growth. Guess who ends up owning more? This doesn't mean reckless investing. It doesn't mean chasing hype. It doesn't mean betting everything on trends. In fact, the biggest danger is not risk, it's delay. Because the real cost of hesitation is time, and time is the only ingredient compounding cannot replace.
Here's where irony shows up. People who fear losing money often lose the most to inflation. People who fear volatility accept guaranteed decline. The absence of movement becomes the risk.
Let's zoom out. When a large portion of society saves but does not own, wealth concentrates. Assets rise, prices rise. Ownership narrows. This isn't a conspiracy. It's a structural outcome. And every year you delay crossing the tipping point, you participate in a system that quietly redistributes value away from savers.
This is why the phrase, saving is good, is incomplete. Saving is good until it isn't enough. Just like training wheels are good until they keep you from riding faster.
The most dangerous financial moment is not when you have nothing. It's when you have just enough to feel safe, but not enough to grow. Comfort becomes a ceiling.
So, where does this leave us? Not with a rule, not with a checklist, but with a question that matters more than advice. At what point does your money stop protecting you and start holding you back? Because that point exists, and it arrives whether you notice it or not. The only choice is whether you cross it intentionally or drift past it without realizing what you gave up. And that's the real tension. Not between saving and investing, but between safety today and relevance tomorrow. The system won't tell you when the line is crossed. You have to see it yourself.